We're at the Wellness in Wolves podcast in the heart of Wolverhampton City Centre at CoLab. Let's go. So today we've got the team from Andy's Man Club Wolverhampton on the show. Let's get into it. Guys, great to have you here. We'll do some introductions before we start. So, Danny, the main man, do you want to start? Take it away, mate.
I don't know about the main man, I'm one of the men. My name's Danny. I've been attending Andy's Man Club now for over 18 months. I originally started in Stafford and now part of the Wolverhampton Andy's Man Club.
I'm Mark, one of the facilitators at Wolverhampton, been going since Wolverhampton 1 started back in November. I'm
John, one of the facilitators at Wolverhampton. I've been attending Wolverhampton since November, and I briefly went to Stafford either before or during lockdown sort of time.
I'm Matt. I started Andy's Man Club in Stafford last year, and then about 3 weeks later moved to Wolverhampton when the Wolverhampton Club opened.
Fantastic. So you guys have been doing some great work within the city. So tell us, what does Andy's Man Club mean for you? Danny, do you want to start?
Okay, for me, it gave me purpose. When I originally started attending Andy's Man Club, it was at a time in my life where I was in quite a dark place. I didn't feel I had a purpose, and attending Andy's Man Club gave me purpose, and it also gave me friends and community. It's given a lot to me, and that's why I always give a lot to Andy's Man Club as well.
That's good. I think you're doing a great job. I think everybody knows you by now, Danny. I think you've become well known across the city for the work that you've been doing, and certainly when I came across you on social media, it was great to see the energy that you were bringing to Andy's Man Club. And I've been to a couple of sessions, and they've been really, really well run. So thank you guys for your work. Do you want to pass the ball over?
Yeah. What was the question?
And what does Andy's Man Club mean for you?
For me, it's given me a real sense of being able to help people and helping myself by knowing that I'm not the only one going through what I'm going through. Like, I think back to Monday session, and as every man was having their share, there was at least one person nodding their head, knowing exactly what that man sharing was going through.
Yeah, I think same as Danny and Mark, Andy's Man Club just gives me a safe place to speak about what I'm feeling. I'm quite fortunate I do have a good support network at home, but sometimes I feel like I think it's a man thing that you don't want to burden your loved ones with how you're feeling, and it's a lot easier to just speak to random people sometimes, and then you get that sense of community and the friendship and like brotherhood that we've got as facilitators as well.
For me, Andy's Man Club is it's a sense of community, but it's a social thing as well. You know, kind of working from home all the time, sitting out, seeing people, and being able to support those guys going through what they're going through. I mean, when I initially joined, I wasn't in a crisis or anything. It was just a kind of I loved a really interesting concept, wanted to support people, and it's just that kind of the social bit as much of the actual support you get there. And then, you know, if you do go through a bad time, you've got a group of guys around you who are there to support you.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. So I think it's really good to have that support structure. I know when I went through my own mental health journey, community is what really helped me. So I think setting this up and having this in Wolverhampton is a great thing for the city. And I think here on Wellness in Wolves, we want to make sure that we have more groups like this and that we support your work because it needs to be highlighted. You need to be, congratulated for the work that you're doing. I know you probably don't want that. That's not the motivation. But I think the city should recognise the effort that normal blokes from across the city are putting in to helping other blokes. So, and I think, sometimes we don't give ourselves that recognition. So here on Wellness on Wolves, we want to make sure that you're getting that. And I think really you want to reach out to people out there who are struggling right now, whether you're in Wolverhampton, whether you're in Birmingham, Walsall, wherever it may be, across the UK or across the world even. Normal men speaking about their problems and giving each other support and a pat on the back, And I think you've got a motto, haven't you? A brew and a bicky. and just to translate for some of our transatlantic audience members, brewing a bicky is a cup of tea and a biscuit, isn't it? And I think it's a simple thing where guys can get together, have a cup of tea and have a biscuit and talk about their problems. So I think thanks for joining us today. We're going to get into it a little bit deeper now. So I want to talk about the motivations or some of the troubles or issues that you might have been going through and what motivated you to go and reach out to Andy's Man Club, or how did you hear about it? Danny, do you want to talk about how you got involved with it?
Yeah, as I said, I was going through a difficult time in my life. I was in quite a dark place. I had health issues. I was waiting for an operation, which was cancelled at the time. I had a relationship breakup. I had stress at work. I just seemed to have every important area of my life just seemed to all go down at one time. So I was looking for something. I was looking for some support. And I saw a video on YouTube, which was a Sky News video. And it had a guy on there called Luke Ambler and a guy called Dan Rowe, both of whom I did eventually meet, but that's further down there. But when I saw that video, they were talking about a group called Andy's Man Club, and I thought, well, that sounds like somewhere I'd like to go. So I had a look on their website, and this is for anyone. If you go onto the Andy's Man Club website, you put your postcode in and it will tell you where your nearest club is. I put my postcode in, it told me that my nearest club was in Stafford. So I thought, okay, that's not too far away. So I travelled to Stafford, and as I said, when I first walked through that door, it was as if I was returning back to familiar friends, but I didn't know anybody there, and that's what we hope to do, and that's what every Andy's Man Club hopes to do, is to replicate that. We welcome somebody in, because we all know how difficult it is to get through that door. There's so many barriers to getting through the door, and when a guy walks in, we respect the effort of them getting there. Even if they just come to listen, we absolutely respect and welcome them.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think half the battle is getting out the door in the first place, isn't it? I know when I was going through my own journey, just getting out of my dark place, out of that rut that I was in, was really difficult. I just couldn't see the light. And I think you're in a bubble, aren't you, almost, when you're going through mental health issues. You're stuck in that bubble and you can't see. You're trying to, and I wasn't even asking really for help when I was struggling, because I didn't know it was there. So I think it's great that people in Wolverhampton and men know that there is a place, that there is a group that's there for them, and it's on a regular basis. Danny, I think you'll speak a bit about that towards the end, but it's a weekly group, which means if you're struggling at any point, you can go. Within the week. So thank you for that. Do you want to pass the ball on and we'll go through the group? What motivated yourself?
So just before Andy's Man Club started in Wolverhampton, I recently lost my nan, and it really hit me hard, and it brought back a lot of memories of losing my brother back in 2021 due to COVID, something that I hadn't really dealt with at the time. And I got into a really low place emotionally and searched up Andy's Man Club, because I'd heard about it before and looked at it previously but never managed to go. And going to that first group was terrifying, sort of driving there, sitting in your car waiting to go in and making sure you got in the door, and then it takes a while to actually get to that point where you start to feel the sense of the community and the sense of the brotherhood, and we talk a lot about that, and it takes a while, but once you get it, it's phenomenal. I've lived up in this area since 2018, and I've not had the group of friends that I have through this group now currently, and it took me sort of probably 3 months of going to Andy's Man Club, from being in a really, really dark place with my own mental health, to going and being positive when I'm in there and going, actually, I don't feel like I need to share anything, because I've seen Danny, I've seen John, I've seen some of the other lads, it's put a smile on my face. I've really got that positivity out of it.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that.
What motivates?
Yeah, what motivates?
Yeah. If you get the questions like a Monday night, I love it. What first motivated me is I think it was just before COVID. not long left the army, and I was really struggling adapting to civilian life. Like I said, I joined the army when I was 17, originally did 8 years, and I didn't even know how to book an own doctor's appointment. And I was struggling with stuff I experienced when I was overseas, and then adapting to civistry, and then I started gambling and all, gambling and drinking most nights as well. But attended the Stafford group, and that really helped me, mainly not just by being able to speak, but by being able to listen to people's stories, and then you realise how many people share your journey sort of thing, and how much you can learn from someone else. Like someone who's got over whatever they've got over, you can take bits from it and adapt it to suit you. I stopped going to Stafford, and then Wolverhampton opened during a time where my sister was in a bit of a crisis. That highlighted a lot of things that I've experienced in my life. So I've lost a lot of friends due to them taking their own lives, and started pinning them feelings up. But Andy's Man Club got me through that, and then more trouble came along the way while I was getting the help for that. They've been there for me throughout, and I'd definitely say it's a brotherhood within the facilitators. And that cup of tea and a biscuit, it's not just having a cup of tea and a biscuit. It breaks the ice, and it does make people feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Especially, I'll mention his name still a little bit. When you meet Shabba.
Shabba, yeah, I know Shabba, the main man.
Shabba,
After Danny, obviously.
Shabba introduces everyone, and he does break the ice just because of his character, and that is one of the key things with Wolverhampton. Like that community that we can create by that little introduction. It saves people.
And I think that's the amazing thing about a group of people. You've got different characters, haven't you? Like I met Shabba, and then you got Danny, and then I met a few of the other lads, and everyone brings their own unique personality to the group. And I think that's what makes us such a fantastic city, I think, because we've got so many different types of people, different backgrounds, different experiences, and we bring it to the table, don't we, in that group? So no, thank you for sharing that.
Cool. I was maybe slightly different for kind of how I first came to it. It wasn't kind of loneliness for me, it was just wanting to extend my social circle as much as anything, actually having a kind of a regular thing each week and go and build up a social group, and obviously then helping other guys and stuff with their issues when they're going through. And yeah, it's me and my husband, we both work from home, we both kind of run our own businesses, and that's quite isolating. You don't see anybody, you know. Normally in work you have the, you know, they kind of go and get a cup of tea with somebody you're working with and stuff. You don't have that, it's just the two of you all the time. And yeah, so for me, just seeing all those people each week, and it is kind of, it just lifts your spirits. You know, every Monday you will leave feeling better than you arrived, because you've just got some stuff off your chest, you've met some people, you know, the way the evening's structured, you may have had a little bit of a laugh at the end, and it's just, yeah, when you bring some positive energy, it's great.
Amazing. Well, thanks for sharing, guys. So we're going to cover a bit of your personal experiences now. So we'll start with you, Danny. So one of the things that we spoke about off camera was about how workplace stress affected you. And that was part of your journey and how you got into Andy's Man Club. A lot of people struggle with workplace stress. It's where we spend most of our lives, 9 to 5 at a desk, dealing with workload, managers, colleagues, emails, problems, customers. It can be quite stress-inducing. Can you talk about how that affected you and what was your situation without going into too much specific details?
Yeah, I think, the commonality in all of the things that I mentioned is change, and that's the most difficult thing. And if change is thrust upon you or somebody else changes things, you feel powerless. And that's one of the things that was an issue at work, was people changing priorities, people changing systems, people changing responsibilities. And you can feel sometimes as an employee quite powerless, that you are just subject to somebody else that can change things quite quickly. So there's stress in that, because you think that you can do something, and then the workload's doubled. So you feel inadequate, and then you feel like you can't complete tasks. So it's kind of that, it knocks your confidence as well. So it was a difficult time when things do change in the workplace.
Yeah, and I think everybody's experienced a toxic workplace, haven't they? They've been there, bad bosses, annoying colleagues. We've all been there. People eat. And what used to really annoy me in the workplace was like people eating really loudly at their desks, and any of those types of things can trigger us, and that causes us anxiety, or we can get frustrated or angry. But then on the other end of the scale, the more toxic end is, bullying and harassment. So, there's a wide range of issues that can trigger us, isn't there? From the really small things to annoying habits that people might have to some of the more insidious things, people trying to bully or harass you or sabotage you. And I certainly went through that and experienced it. And it's really one of the worst things that can happen to you in the workplace, being, subject to that. So thank you for sharing that. I think we need to raise more awareness around that, and what we really want to do is change the culture of the workplace in this country, because we're tired of the toxic workplace. We don't want it anymore. There's a reason why 1 million people are long-term sick in this country with stress and anxiety and depression. 1 million people are not working who could, with some small tweaks, be back in the workplace. Yeah. And a lot of that is because of bad bosses and bad culture and bad practices. So I think let's work together. And I'm sure at Andy's Man Club, you have people that, are stressed because of work, don't you? So let's tackle that. Guys, if you're out there and you want to be a part of the movement, get in touch, either with Andy's Man Club, Danny or myself. We can do things together. If you want to be a guest on the show, if you want to be a part of a project, we're here to champion your cause in the workplace, in the community. So let's work together. Let's go. That's our motto now. Our motto is let's go. Okay. So we're going to move on to Mark next. So Mark, yeah, okay. So you were struggling with bereavement at the time, quite a difficult subject. How did you navigate your grief? And if you feel comfortable, do you want to share with the audience a bit about that journey and how you dealt with it?
So I think as a bloke especially, you deal with grief by doing things. You deal with grief by making sure that's in order, you've looked after that person, you've helped that person. Obviously when my nan passed away, it left just my granddad, so making sure he's all right by himself. But then going backwards, when I lost my brother, he left behind a really young daughter and a wife, and obviously my mum and dad. So my grief was always making sure that other people are okay, making sure that I was helping someone. And I think it's a common theme with a lot of the guys that come to AMC is we're burnt out from helping everyone, and this is our call to cry for help. Yeah. And I was talking to a friend of mine at work, and she sort of said, when a man comes for help, we really need to listen, because they don't come for help often, especially with mental health. But with sort of bereavement, I looked at it as, okay, I need to sort this out now. I don't want to keep going through the same cycle. If I get any other bereavements in the future, I don't want it to be the same cycle again. So I looked at different ways of doing it. I started going to sort of individual therapy sessions. I started coming to AMC. I started speaking to my GP about other options. So I tried to make sure that I took a holistic approach to it, and not just, we don't say that Andy Man Club is just going to fix everything. It's part of everyone's journey, and this is one of the reasons why I chose to do it. It's part of that journey for me. Yeah, and I think you made a really good point there. When a man comes and asks for help, that means something serious is happening, and you should listen. And I remember it wasn't quite the same situation, but I asked for help at one point, and I was ignored, and it was trivialised, and that sent me spiralling. I got worse after that. When a man cries for help, and any human being really, but I think especially with men, because it's so difficult for them to open up. Our society conditions us not to talk and to be manly and bottle it up. Essentially, we're told to man up, aren't we?
and we need to stop that. And there is a lot of pressure on men. It's like, it can be a lonely life being a man, because you got to be the rock a lot of the times. You know, either of a family, you know, potentially in the workplace, if you're leading other people. And this is why male suicide is so high. You know, we need our own rock. We can only be rocks when we have other rocks around us, and we're all rocks here now. You know what I mean? We're all rocks here supporting each other. But we have to build that good foundation. So thank you for sharing that. I'm going to come to John. So you are an army veteran. So I think firstly, thank you for your service. I think we don't say it enough in this country, do we? In America, it's a really traditional thing to say. But yeah, we know we just had VE Day, 80 years. I think we need to be more patriotic about our armed forces. You know, to put your life on the line is a big deal. You know, to not know whether you're coming home or coming back from that shift. We do a 9 to 5. You know we're coming home. You guys don't. So thank you for your service. You serve. You're a veteran. You're in the armed forces. You lost a friend in battle. Tell us how that trauma affected you.
Yes, I was early. I think I was about 20. Maybe, yeah, about 20-year-old. Was in Afghan when he died, and like Mark said, you just try and look after everyone. So you try and look after. We was in a 12-man sort of tight team at the time. Try and look after everyone. You come home, you look after everyone. The army at the time was heavily involved around drinking, so you just drank through each other sort of thing and just cracked on with life. It wasn't. So I had my issues there, and then the army did support me and get the help I need. It wasn't until I left again, and then I became a civilian, where everything started rising up again. And a bit like everyone said, it's when you're alone. Like, I moved to Wolverhampton, all my friends are back up north, or they were down south at the time. So I only had my wife and sort of her family. So that loneliness where you get caught in your own head, you just start spiraling. Yeah. And that's what happened. The memories started coming back of I wasn't sleeping, I was burning myself out, so I just got a new job, and I was fully committed to the job. Like, that just took all my energy to the point where I was waking up and working, trying to work and check my wife in at the same time. It was mad. And then when I went to Safford, you speak to people, sharing how you're feeling. I didn't really tell anyone about what happened at the time. I started getting it off my chest and speaking to people, and his man club up in Stafford really did help me. Yeah. And I didn't attend for that long, if I'm being honest, because it was, I think everyone who went to Stafford went, it's actually quite far to get to from Wolverhampton, which is why we're fortunate now that Wolverhampton's there. Yeah, it just helps. Yeah.
And I think you've been in a unique situation. You've seen what a war zone looks like. And some of us have, and it's not comparable, but some of us have that war zone within our heads, you know. There's a battle going on all the time, and we have to fight our own battles. And we've still got scars from those battles. Like, I'm sure you have, both potentially physical, some of you, some of your colleagues, and those mental scars. So thank you for sharing that. We're going to move to Matthew. So, just shifting to a slightly different subject, remote working. We live in a new hybrid world, and it's kind of the new buzzword, post-COVID world. Hybrid working, remote working, it's the new thing. Some people love it, some people don't. Some people like a mix. I know in America they're trying to push people back into the workplace, and even here I think they're trying to get people back into work and stop that remote working. You're a remote worker, and you told us earlier off air that it impacted your mental health working from home. How did that isolation or that lack of social connection impact you?
It is incredibly isolating because you're not seeing anybody, and sometimes I say quite often I go to the pub, for a drink or something, or go out for a cup of coffee. And it's not necessarily chatting to people, it's just seeing life around you, seeing people talking and seeing things going on. But just one thing, you were saying earlier about kind of how difficult it is for people to talk and stuff. I'm trying to talk about the ball.
Yes.
We've been using the ball this evening. We use these every week in Andy's Man Club. The talking ball. So a lot of people find it really hard when they come to talk about what's going on with them. And we have a really simple concept of, if you have the ball, it's your turn to talk. And you don't have to talk if you don't want to, but quite often it's really interesting. People will, they won't talk to their family about something, they won't talk to their wife or their husband, or they won't talk to kind of friends or colleagues. They'll come to Andy's Man Club and they'll sit in a room with 20 random blokes they've never met before, and they'll give them the ball and they'll sit there and you can see them squeezing it and look at it. And after a while they'll just start telling you what's on their mind. They just kind of start unloading those pressures and stuff. And it's just amazing to be able to see that.
Yeah.
Powerful ball, isn't
Oh, it is.
It
amazing.
is, and I think there is something tactile about touching a ball and it relieving stress. A bit like people say when you're petting a dog and it helps kind of alleviate stress. And I think you've seen the kind of squeegee stress balls as well, haven't you? I remember once I was in the workplace and I said to one of my managers that I was feeling stressed, and they put a stress ball on my desk. Now, although I appreciate the gesture, it wasn't quite the solution I was looking for. So I think it's nice to have those things to hold on to, but there needs to be a lot more around that too. Yeah. But I think it's a great thing. I think the ball is the star of the show, isn't it, really, at Andy's Man Club? Everything revolves around the ball.
Saying about workplace, you have just reminded me of a random thing of I have on my desk at home, say, kind of working for myself, just working all day at home, nobody to talk to. So I have on my desk a little black rubber duck. And I'll sit there, you'd be having a problem in work or something, and you just talk to the duck.
Yeah.
Work out what you think.
Yeah. Well, I think if we put a face on that ball, we could start calling it Wilson. I don't know if you've seen the famous Tom Hanks film, but I think, is it Castaway, is it, I think, where he starts talking to the ball?
Bit of a different
Yeah. Let's draw a little face on there. We could start passing it around, couldn't we? And we just need to name it now. What could we call it? Yeah, we'll think about that one. Okay, so that's great. Thank you for sharing that. So, Danny, back to you. You talked earlier about how the breakdown of your relationship impacted upon your mental health. And we've seen in this country, I think the divorce rate is around 42% now, quite high. And so a lot of men and women are going through this. And it impacts not just the man and the woman, but the children too, a lot of the time, can be caught up in that, and it impacts on their mental health. So tell me how it affected you.
Okay, again, it's all change, and sometimes you could be in a relationship and you know that it's not working, but you've always got hope while you're still together. But when it comes to that point where you or the other person says this isn't working and that's the end of the relationship, then that's it then, and it's your identity's gone, because a lot of times in a relationship you lose yourself, because everything is about being in a relationship, about going places together, about liking the same things together, eating together. And I think that's one of the biggest things that we have with guys that come from relationships is they've been in a relationship and they've actually lost contact with their friends because they've been so into this relationship, and coming back to us means they're connected to guys again.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, in this country, it's quite a prevalent thing now. And I think across Europe and across a lot of the Western world, certainly in like my culture, the Punjabi culture, is still very much frowned upon. But even in that culture, it's growing. A lot more people are getting divorced. And I think, if you're in an unhealthy relationship, it's right that you should exit that relationship. I think back in the day, there was pressure to stay and keep that relationship going. I think back in the day in Britain that was the case, but certainly more in my culture there was a pressure to stay together for the sake of the family, and that caused its own issues. I think we do need to start looking at how we can reduce this issue, because it causes, you look at divorce, it's a traumatic process, and we're seeing the impact on children now as well. I think we need to start thinking about, as a country, how we can reduce those numbers, because they are high, aren't they? So you know, thanks for sharing your point of view on that. So we're going to come to you next, Mark. Tell us about how we say that Andy's Man Club is like a brotherhood, isn't it? Like band of brothers. Just kind of making a bit of an army reference there. It is. It's like brothers getting together, and we're in this battle together, fighting against this enemy. Tell us about how you found community there and brotherhood, and how it helped you.
So I think knowing that people were going through what I was going through, and people had been where I was, and I think especially when you first start chatting to some of the guys and you see sort of Danny, and we spoke about Shabba, that are sort of a year down the line from where I was when I first joined, and we're in, when you talk about a very similar mental state and very upset with the world and upset with themselves, and you don't understand how they can be like that and how they're like that now. But the more you get to talk to them and know that there's somebody that's going through that with you, and going through that turmoil and all of that sort of stuff, it brings you together. Like, you don't have to talk about it. So for, like I spoke about, I lost my brother, and we weren't the closest of brothers. There was quite a big age gap between us, sort of seven and a bit years. So we weren't tight-knit brothers like some people have. And when I lost that, we'd started to repair our relationship a little bit before he passed away. And I think moving up here 8 years ago, like, I had not as close a relationship with people as I did. But the guys at the AMC have sort of helped me get back to that and grow together. And I think that's with especially some of the facilitators, we've sort of grown through our own phase of life.
I think that's a really good point you made there. I've heard about a lot of people who had not had good relationships with somebody, and that person's passed away. And I think it's really important in the here and now, if you had an argument with your brother or your mum or your dad, make amends, because when they're gone, it's hard, isn't it? It's difficult. You know, it's gonna stay with you for the rest of your life. And I knew a few blokes, and it happened to them. They were not speaking to somebody that was very close to them for like 6 months or so, and then they passed away. And you can't change that then. So, guys, you know, make amends, seek forgiveness. Forgiveness is great. It's vital for your mental health and your peace and your spiritual well-being too. Well-being is not just about mental health, it's about your spiritual well-being. I certainly, when I went on my journey, I discovered the church, and I started going to the temple more, and that really helped me connecting with something higher than myself. But that also brought me to a place of forgiveness to the things that had happened in my life, maybe people that had impacted upon my journey, and I forgave everything. I think that's very important. That's a big part of the healing process, guys. If you're out there and you're struggling, go through that forgiveness, that process of forgiving others. You have to, you know, if you want to heal, you have to do that, and then you can move on and build and become something bigger and better and serve humanity. This is what we're all here for. Everybody, I always say, everybody has a purpose, a gift that they're born with. Use that gift and share it with the world. But before that, you have to heal yourself. Otherwise, your gift cannot shine in the light. You can't reveal that gift, because then you'll be coming from a place of damage, you know, damaged goods almost. So, guys, take that first step. So thank you for sharing that. When I come to you, next. Heavy subjects today, and quite philosophical. I think I'm being on our first show, but it's all about positivity, guys. Let's go, yeah. Wolverhampton, let's go. Yeah. Okay. So, John, going to come to you. So, a subject that affects many men, gambling.
Yeah.
So you struggled with gambling. It can often start quite small. You're out with friends, the football's on, have a little flutter, put a bet on, and it can quickly spiral, can't it? So tell us
Yeah.
about how it impacted you.
I still remember how I ended up getting into it, to be honest. It was after a night out, I woke up with loads of money full of change, and then me and my friend at the time went down to the bookies and we won. But where it really became a problem is when I was alone. Especially like when I left the army, it almost cost me everything. Like almost cost me my now wife. Because it was a dirty little secret sort of thing on it. And when I came clean, because we were looking at buying a house, it was
Yeah.
just tragic. But it was that alone time when I left, and it just took over everything. And people don't speak about it.
Yeah.
You'll always hear your mates telling you how much they won. It's very rare people tell you how much you lost, and it's because you don't keep track of your losses. You keep track of your wins. But like since I've gone through that journey, I'm quite vocal about it when I feel comfortable in a safe sort of environment, and I share my journey about how I almost like lost everything, got myself into a bit of debt from doing it, to help people who I can see are just wasting their life away, sort of thing, gambling money. Because money is, as much as people say it's not important, if you don't have money in the bank, it just adds to all the other stress that you've got going on. And then that's when secrets and hiding it and that come about. I'm quite fortunate that Andy's Man Club got me through it. My wife understood that there was more to it than just gambling. It was dealing with leaving the army and all the rest of it. She's supporting me. We're still together now.
That's good.
Don't know about after. No, we've got a beautiful daughter together, and like we've got past that dark patch of our sort of journey together.
Yeah, that's really amazing to hear, and I think life is about those struggles. We all go through struggle, but it's how you come through the other side. I always say you can either get bitter or you can get better.
Yeah.
Guys, you can get bitter or you can get better. Okay, we chose to get better, and the choice is yours. Life is about choices. What choice are you going to take? Take the right one. So, and I think it's coming back to the gambling point. Men need to start talking about this more, and we need to break the stigma and shame around this, because it's a big issue. Gambling is in this country amongst men. The gambling companies don't help with the slot machines and the online bookies now. It's a 24/7 industry. You can do it at any point. I mean, I struggled with it too. You can quickly spiral, and we need more support. We need more people talking about it, like yourself. In the workplace as well, there needs to be more awareness, people opening up, and gambling companies need to make it a bit more difficult to, lose so much money. We can't be in situations where people are losing their houses and they're losing their deposits, or what's in their bank account, thousands and thousands of pounds. That just doesn't sit right with me. So let's start lobbying the right people and put a stop to that, I think. I'm sure we can work on something together.
People who are skint after payday.
Yeah.
Because they'll just blow it all online, sitting in the room bored, or when they get drunk and stuff. And it destroys everything.
Yeah. It's like a drug, isn't it? It's like a really addictive drug.
Yeah.
And they used to call the slot machines the crack cocaine of gambling, because people would literally go into the slot machines, and it's like once you start, you can't stop. It's very. I think they have changed the laws around the slot machines now a little bit, so it's not as difficult to lose as much money, but it needs to change. Thank you for sharing that.
That's all right.
Thank you. I'm going to come to you now, Matthew. So you are a member of the LGBT community. Tell us how Andy's Man Club made you feel welcome, and how it's accommodated, and how it hasn't made you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things with Andy's Man Club is it always says that it's a non-judgmental space. We have at the beginning every week a series of ground rules that the club always runs by. And that's one of the things you always say. It's non-judgmental. You never had sweeping generalisations about different communities, different groups, different people. and everybody's walked through that door for the first time, and every time afterwards, just for the same reasons, because to be there, to be around people, to get support or give support. And it's, a lot of communities quite often, I think, they can feel quite insular sometimes. They kind of say the gay community, or like Wolverhampton, we've got so many major communities.
Yeah.
You've got the Punjabi, the Polish, Afro-Caribbean. Quite often, a lot of people will feel like, oh, we need to stay within our little group, our community. Like, Andy's Man Club's for everybody.
Yeah.
And they're really good at just like, nobody ever questions anything. You come, you turn up, and do you want a cup of tea, cup of coffee, and biscuit? It's like, whoever you are, welcome for everybody. And that's what works with it so well, is some people having kind of difficulties and struggles that maybe from something within their community, or they don't, isn't talked about in their community. Well, they can come to Andy's Man Club and talk about it, and all of a sudden, like, oh, actually, that guy over there is completely different to me, but he's going through the same struggles I am. And I understand, what some going through.
Yeah. I think when you start looking beyond the labels, we're all human beings. We have the same soul, spirit, mind, heart, whatever you want to call it, whatever you believe in. We all bleed the same colour. Let's make everybody feel welcome. We all have an equal stakeholder. We're all equal stakeholders in this country, in this community, in this society. This discrimination needs to stop, whether it's on racial lines, whether it's on, whatever lines it's on. This hatred needs to stop. And I think I've said recently, we're at a bit of a crossroads as a country. We have to decide what direction we want to take. Do you want to go down the route of hatred and anger and the othering of people and projecting our own issues onto other groups? Own your issues, take accountability, stop blaming other people. I always say this, the first step to recovery is owning your issues, taking accountability, looking at yourself in the mirror and looking at the issues that you need to resolve, and stop blaming other people. So I'm glad Andy's Man Club accommodates for all people, all races, all backgrounds. It is for everybody, all men, okay? And it's great to have you guys in Wolverhampton.
I think, anyone who's never been to the one at Wolverhampton, if you want to go, as soon as you walk through the doors, you'll see there must be someone from every sort of race, religion and everything there. And it's a very diverse group in it.
We just represent all men in the city. We're all going to just talk about the ball now, aren't we?
Yeah.
And we thought of a name yet. I feel like we need a name for the ball. What can we name the ball? I mean, Wilson was the name in the film, wasn't it? But come on, any ideas? What can we name the ball? No? Wolfie? We're in Wolverhampton. Maybe we can call it Wolfie?
I was just thinking, this is going to go out across the world. They're going to have to subtitle John.
Guys, I do apologise for the accent. We are in a place called Wolverhampton. Please Google it. It's a great city. Okay? The accent is a little difficult to understand, but we've got a great city here and with great people. But we'll think of a name and we'll come back to Wilson. We'll call it Wilson for now. Okay? How's it going, Wilson? Everything good? Yeah? Great. Okay. So, we're going to just come back to some final thoughts. So, I want to ask you, Danny, what is your final message that you want to give to our audience?
Just a similar thing to what I say when we're out and about raising awareness. I always say to people, Andy's Man Club is for everybody. And they say, well, how's that if it's a man club? It's for everybody in the sense that there are mothers, wives, girlfriends, sisters, daughters who benefit from the guys that attend the Andy's Man Club groups. And the groups are just attended by men who are aged 18 or over. So we are there for everyone, and that's the purpose of this group. This group is to help those men aged 18 or over.
Yeah. And how do you feel personally? You've been on a journey. How do you feel about your role in creating something new?
To me, it was just, as I said, I came there in a time of need. I had nothing. I gave nothing to Andy's Man Club. They literally opened the door, invited me in, gave me a brew, a cup of coffee and a biscuit, and just made me feel like somebody cared about what I had to say.
Yeah.
And to be further down the line in my own journey and be able to do that for somebody else, that's all I do it for.
Yeah, and I think the key there is everybody needs something in their life to build. We are builders. You think about this planet we live on, everything has been created and it all started from a thought or an action, and now it's manifested as these buildings, these roads, these groups that we run. So we all have this innate ability and need to be able to create something. Now, what you create, whether it's positive or negative, is up to you. But Danny, you've decided to create something positive and channel all of that frustration and wherever it was that you were going through into something positive. And I think the key message here is find something that you're good at or that you can take part in, and let that be your mission. When I started on my journey, my mission was really small. I went to my local church and I asked, can I help in any way? And they said there's some gardening, there's some weeding that needs doing at the back of church. So I was doing that for like 2-3 hours. And for those 2 or 3 hours, I felt useful again. I felt like I had a sense of purpose. That intrinsic self-worth started coming back. And that's what we're all looking for, that inner value. And we can create that within ourselves. And that purpose can get bigger. Our purpose doesn't have to be grand or big. It can start with something small like gardening, or starting a group of maybe like 2 or 3 people, something that you've been through personally, and watch how that purpose or that mission will grow, and watch how you evolve as a person or as a group. I mean, Danny now is like the poster boy or man, let's say, for mental health within our city, and that came from his own personal experience. So I think that's a wonderful thing that we can all do. Start somewhere, guys. I'll get the ball rolling. No pun intended. Get the ball rolling. Wilson, let's get the ball rolling. So we'll come to you next. Mark, any final thoughts? What is your message? How do you want to inspire others in this city?
I think for me is seeking help is something to be proud of.
Yeah.
It took me a long time for people to know about Andy's Man Club from me and know what I'm going through, other than the guys that are in the room when I'm saying what I'm saying. No one knew what I was going through, and I like to often equate, we talked earlier about masking and things, and fantastic at it, but I think of myself as a swan sometimes. Above the surface you see nothing's going on, nice and smooth, but below the surface, inside, you're going absolutely mad. You're running around and everything. But having that time on a Monday gives you that time to let things go, get things off your chest, and just calm down again. Get that peace. Yeah.
And I think, thanks for sharing that. I think we all want that peace, don't we? We're all searching for that peace, aren't we? Who isn't searching for peace in this life? Yeah, we all are. Everybody is looking for that inner contentment. Some people find it through meditation. Some people find it through art. The people that are struggling in this life, the people that are hateful, they're not at peace. They say no rest for the wicked. Yeah, there's a reason. There's this vicious cycle that people are in. Hurt people, hurt other people. We need to put a stop to this. The buck stops with us in this city. I was saying the other day, I was doing a live stream about Willenhall, which is my hometown. Yeah, we're going to start a movement in Willenhall, and now it's got bigger. We're in Wolverhampton now. Yeah, the next city, and then from Wolverhampton we're going to go to the West Midlands, and then from the West Midlands we're going to go to the UK, and then from the UK to the world. Yeah. That small change, that me deciding to go to that church one day and just start doing some weeding, has now grown to a global movement. You guys are a part of it. We're all part of it here. CoLab are a part of it. We can all be a part of it. You guys, if you want to get involved at home, if you're struggling, reach out to me. My door is always open. We can create something together. Guys, we're all part of this this planet together. There's nobody else out there, or we think, unless you believe in aliens, of course. There's nobody else out there that we know of, okay? We have to get along, and we can work together and create something amazing, and you can be a part of it, and that's going to help your mental health. And that's why we're Wellness in Wolves. Let's go. So next, we're going to come to you, John. Okay. So, any final thoughts? I feel like Jerry Springer now. Any final thoughts?
No, I think all I want to say is no matter what you're going through, how little or big, if it's playing a part in your life where you can't be who you need to be, if you can't be yourself at work, if you can't go home and give your wife or your husband, your child, the best version of you, then clearly you need to get some off your chest. The reason why I now continue to go to Andy's Man Club is so I can be present when I'm with my daughter and with my wife. I don't want to burden them with what's going on, because that's family time. And these guys give me that opportunity to share.
Yeah.
And then I always come back, and then you've got question 4 and 5. I'll ask my wife question 4 and 5, as you do. But Andy's Man Club definitely saved my life once upon a time ago. And I think if anyone is struggling, it's not going to fix you, but it might lead you on that journey, like Mark said, to get the help that you need. So if you are unsure, just turn up.
Yeah.
Have a brew and a biscuit, and meet the team and everyone else, and listen to their stories, because it might be the thing that gets you back home to whoever you care about. I think it's, what's to say, it's about the one man. We're not here to help everyone. If we can get that one person back home to the loved ones, then we've achieved something that night.
100%. You know, that's quite symbolic. Like I said, I go to the church now. You know, the one man. There's a parable about the 99 sheep and the one sheep. That one sheep was lost in the wilderness in this world, and we can be lost in our mental health struggles, wherever we're struggling with spiritually. But when you cry out for help, that higher power will come for that one sheep. You know, one person is as important as the 99. If that one is willing to ask for help, So that's really poignant, I think. Thank you for sharing that. Do you want to, Matthew? Do you want to tell us what your final thoughts are?
For a lot of people, the hardest thing they will do with Andy's Man Club is walk in the door for the first time. I mean, I've heard so many stories of guys who, if they've got in the car, right, I'm going to Andy's Man Club tonight. They've driven there, they've driven to the car park, and they've driven out. Or they've got there and they've just sit in the car for 2 hours. So last week we had in Wolverhampton, and there were over 30 guys join us across the country, and there was nearly 6,000 guys in all the clubs around the country. Every single one of those guys has walked through the door for the first time. And the words people describe for their first time going to Andy's Man Club, just like the worst fear, bricking it, just anxiety through the roof. But as soon as they've done it, within seconds, Daniel was saying, you just made to feel so welcome. You aren't alone. And so as hard as it is, just doing that one thing, the facilitators, the guys who meet you at the door, they'll take care of you. All you need is just walk up to that door, and they'll make sure you feel okay afterwards.
That's it. So you heard it, guys. The door's always open. Take that first step. And Danny, when I come to you finally, so you're going to tell us a bit about how people can get involved or get help. But I think before that, it's important for people to know a little bit about how Andy's Man Club started, and then tell us about how they can get involved.
Okay, so Andy's Man Club originally started in Halifax, Yorkshire, 9 years ago. It was started by a gentleman called Luke Ambler and his mother-in-law Elaine Roberts. And the reason it was started was Andrew Roberts, who was Luke's brother-in-law and Elaine's son, sadly took his own life. He was aged 23. And Luke and Elaine got together and said that they didn't want any other families to suffer what they'd been through. And they felt like if Andy had have had a place to talk, that he might still be here today. So they wanted to create a safe space for men to talk about whatever it was that was going on. It started with 9 guys, and it's now spread to almost 300 clubs, and we've got almost 6,000 men attending every week. We are still group users. We're not separate from the group. We just have a role. So we've got these t-shirts on, and we've got a role on the group night, but we can use the group as well. And there's many times that because you don't get sorted when you attend Andy's Man Club and you have a brilliant time afterwards. There's been many times where I've had to ask these guys help me, or I've discussed at the group about things that are bothering me. So we continue to use the group. We are part of the group. We're fully part of it.
Yeah. Okay. And every Monday, did you say it was?
Yep, so it's every Monday, excluding bank holiday. So if it's a bank holiday Monday, we won't be open. Now, we know that this might be going out to all different places, so the best way for you to find your nearest Andy's Man Club is to go to andysmanclub.co.uk. You can put your postcode in and it will tell you where your nearest Andy's Man Club is. And then once you've got that location, all you have to do is just turn up to that location. The groups start at 7 p.m. and they last until 9 p.m. Ideally, if you turn up about 15 minutes before, it gives you a chance to get a brew, get a biscuit, and just settle in. So there are no referrals required. You don't have to have a referral from a doctor, any other organisation. You self-refer. When you get there, there is no register taken. We don't take your name or address or any other details about you. So it's completely anonymous and confidential when you're there as well.
Okay. Thanks for sharing that. So guys, please do check out the website and get involved. So that's it, guys. We're wrapping up Wellness in Wolves. Let's go. But before we go, guys, I want you to tell us who you want us to interview next. So any groups, any charities, any community organisations that you want on the show in Wellness and Wolves, comment below. Tell us who they are and why we should interview them. And we'll reach out to that organisation. Finally, we're doing a networking event here at Bank, which is down from CoLab. So below CoLab, there's a beautiful venue called Bank, which is a bar/restaurant. We're going to organise a networking event. So if you're a well-being entrepreneur, you're in the well-being business, you're a community organiser, you're a HR director or manager, feel free to attend, and we will be sharing more information about that very shortly. It is on the 16th of July in the evening. We will post details on that event in the comments below, in the description. So we want to see you there. Please do register. And that's it. Thank you for joining us. We are Wellness in Wolves. This is Andy's Man Club. And thank you very much and good night. All the best. God bless.